Applying the ecological model. The word ecology comes from biology and it refers to organisms and their reciprocal relationships with the environment. So, in case management and counseling, we have what is called an identified client, sometimes referred to as an identified patient, IP or IC. And this is the individual who is receiving the services. So we take an individualized approach to understanding that person's unique world. However, the problems are not just unique to the individual, but are also influenced by the environment, which is why we need to look at the client and their problems through an ecological model. Assessment is a large part of using the ecological model because it assesses the different parts of the client's world. A person enters each new situation, and we constantly are adapting to its demands. By our very presence, it changes the situation, and we are constantly creating, restructuring, and adapting to the environment, even as the environment is changing. So we, as an individual, are constantly in contact with our environment. We are constantly influencing our environment, and our environment is influencing us. There's a reciprocal relationship. So to look at a client's problems without assessing the environment, the context, or situation that the client is in, we're not really getting a complete picture. There are three primary levels of the ecological model, and that is the micro, meso, and macro. However, we're going to focus on Bronfenbrenner's ecological model, which is pictured on your screen. And Urie Bronfenbrenner added two parts to the ecological model: the exosystem and the chronosystem. Bronfenbrenner believed that a person's development was affected by everything in their surrounding environment. The microsystem is the system closest to the person and the one in which they have direct contact in most of their life. Some examples would be home, school, daycare, or work. A microsystem typically includes family, peers, or caregivers. Relationships in a microsystem are bidirectional. In other words, your reactions to the people in your microsystem will affect how they treat you in return. This is the most influential level of the ecological systems theory. The next level of the ecological systems theory is the mesosystem. The mesosystem consists of the interactions between different parts of a person's microsystem. The mesosystem is where a person's individual microsystems do not function independently, but they're interconnected and assert influence on one another. These interactions have an indirect impact on the individual. So the exosystem takes the place of the mesosystem in the original primary levels. So in Bronfenbrenner's model, he refers to the mesosystem as kind of the buffer between the micro and the exo. the primary doesn't really indicate that level of influence that happens between the different levels. The exosystem refers to a setting that does not involve the person as an active participant, but it still affects them. This includes decisions that have bearing on the person, but they have no participation in the decision-making process. An example of this would be a child being affected by a parent receiving a promotion at work or losing their job. The macro system is the attitudes and ideologies of the culture that the individual lives in. If an individual lives in the United States, we might be referring to the American culture's attitudes and values that influence that person. Or a person within the United States might identify with some other culture, say for example an indigenous culture, which would have a set of attitudes, values, and beliefs that would influence that person. The chronosystem adds the dimension of time, which demonstrates the influence of both change and consistency in a person's environment. By studying different systems that simultaneously influence a person, we are better able to demonstrate the diversity of interrelated influences on development and on the person's environment. Awareness of the context can help us to better understand a person in relation to their environment. For example, a child who frequently bullies smaller children at school may actually portray the role of a terrified victim at home. Due to these variations, adults concerned with the care of a particular child should pay close attention to their behavior in different settings. As case managers, we also need to complete assessments so that we're getting a more holistic picture of the child in various settings. Context is important because it provides more complete understanding. It provides a balanced view of the client's world and considers developmental transitions. Understanding the identified client in relation to their environment also provides us more information to better assess the individual's needs and provide appropriate interventions.